topic.
I'm Karen Brooksvik, the Human Services Manager for the City of Renton, and I'm here to introduce you to Linda and Maggie, who are the co-leaders of this proposal in front of you for a day center and overnight shelter for women and their children. And they have a PowerPoint presentation that they're going to go through, and then we'll answer questions at the end, I think is what they plan to do. So I'm going to turn it over to Maggie and Linda.
Okay, thank you, Karen. To the mayor, to the chairperson of the City Council, and to City Council members, we thank you for the opportunity to present to you the proposal that we have been working on for some time here in the City of Renton. I want to especially thank the staff, the police chief, and Terry and her staff for all the support, insight, and wisdom that they have shared with us over these last 2 or 3 months that we have been working on this. And what brings us to the table tonight is, I'm sure, no surprise to you. As we look at the issue of homelessness in King County, the numbers are continuing to rise. And one of the things that we've been working on is that almost on any given night, over 3,000 are members of homeless families and children, which is quite heartbreaking, because that's the least, that particular population, that's the least place where they have no place to go. So there are places for single women, there are places for men, but for families with children, it's very problematic. So what we are presenting tonight is a proposal that will help to alleviate some of the stress until women and children can find more sustainable housing. So our proposal will address some of those issues. As it is now, the places where homeless families can find shelter is mostly sleeping in cars, tents, in doorways. And of recent, I encountered one mother with 3 children, ages 9, 7, and 5, who slept in a hospital waiting room. And another mother slept in a porta potty because she felt she was safe outside. That was a safe place for her and her child to sleep overnight. And these are just some of the stories that we see each day through organizations that we work with. So over a year ago, we had met with the mayor and some of his staff. It's probably been about 2 years now, regarding the issue of homelessness. And I reached out to REACH, and I've been a part of that organization for some while, but I reached out to them in partnership and asked if we could come together in collaboration and create some type of proposal, something that we could do to help alleviate some of the stress on families, especially women and children, until they could find more sustainable housing. And out of that tonight is what brings us to the table. We have a group of committed citizens who have been working hard on putting together this proposal, which include volunteers and even reaching out to the community in terms of soliciting funds to help us. And so we bring that to you tonight. So now I'm going to turn it over to Maggie, and she can talk a little bit about REACH.
Good evening. It's a real pleasure to be with you. Thank you for your time. My name is Maggie Breen. I'm the director of REACH, which stands for Renton Ecumenical Association of Churches. REACH has been active in the community of Renton for about 40 years. It's a group of churches, currently about 30 churches, that come together with the stated aim of finding compassionate, sustainable, and healthy ways of living together, with a particular concern for those in our community that don't have the resources that they need, physical, spiritual, financial. We meet once a month, and we just pay attention to what's going on in our community and how we can partner. Partnership is central to what we do. We understand that there are many experts in our community, in the city and in human services agencies, that are doing spectacular work. And we understand that one of the calls of the churches is to come alongside and offer partnership and be willing to work together as efficiently and cooperatively as we can. Linda has been a member of REACH for quite a while and came to us last November to highlight to us a need that we knew was already there. We experience women who have children coming into our churches on a weekly basis asking for help. So we knew that that need was there. She came in from her experience with Mary's Place, which is a homeless shelter in downtown Seattle, and just asked, would we take a look at this and could we explore the ways that we might come together as a church community, but also utilising our wider partnerships in order to address this issue. It was immediately clear, I could sense from the very beginning, that there was an energy around this in the room with those church leaders that were there, partly because they know that the need is real, partly because they have partnerships that they trust, communities and schools, the city of Renton, mental health facilities, all sorts of communities that we work with throughout the city. And partly because we've been this way before. REACH were the organising body for Arise, and so we know that we can do this. We also know that there was a gap. We think there is a gap in terms of the services that are available during the day for people who are homeless, and we felt if we were going to do this well, we wanted to be really smart about addressing that particular issue. Where do women and children go during the day to make calls, to get connected, to receive the encouragement they need to keep moving forward? And so that's the proposal that we bring to you tonight, to start with our day centre and to look at how we can provide 24-hour care and attention to those families. So Linda's going to fill you in on the rest of that proposal. Thank you.
Okay. So just a couple of key points and then we'll go through our presentation. PowerPoint is we're really not talking about ending homelessness, but we're talking about meeting the immediate needs of families with children, to get them off the streets, out of their cars, into a safe place until more long-term sustainable housing is available. We will act as an emergency system that social services, the police, churches, and community can use to refer families sleeping outside. And we're connected with 211. We've been working with them because we realize that is the connecting point for us. Homeless families are really one of the key things around families that are homeless is that they really want to stay together. They do not want to be separated. As perhaps you're not aware, or maybe you are aware, is that it's very problematic for a woman with children, especially if they're boys. There are very, very few places, if any, where a woman who has boys can find a place to stay. So the proposal that we present will help to alleviate some of that stress. Faith communities we've been talking to faith communities. We are been restricted by the fact that we didn't have a day center, and now we'll be more aggressive as we move in, but we are receiving very positive response. And as Maggie shared, with my work downtown Seattle, we have this model in operation on the north end. And what some of the faith communities that are putting families up, providing meals, helping with homework, reading stories, celebrating life events, having fun time, and providing a safe, supported environment. In other words, what it does is it keeps families with a sense of normality until they can move into their own housing. So no one wants family and children on the street. I can't even imagine my little grandson, 12 years old, sleeping on the streets at night. And what I want for him, I certainly want for others, and I believe that's what we all want. And it's a difficult problem in our community, in our cities, and all across this country. And it will only grow if we don't step up to do something about it. And I believe what we present to you tonight is a step towards helping to alleviate some of that pain and stress. So some of the data that we present to you is that between 2009 and 2011, Washington State has had 25% increase in the number of homeless kids in school. And I know many of you have been working with the one-night count, so this is not new news to you. In King County, 4,423 were enrolled in the 2010-2011 school year, 22% in 1 year, a 30% increase in 4 years, and that's unbelievable. But the figures are there to prove that it's a very difficult issue. So the issue is why, or the why, you know. Families become homeless as a result of unforeseen financial crisis. Among many things, medical emergency, car accidents, death in family, and domestic abuse. So there are issues around that prevent them from being able to hold on to housing. So those are some of the reasons, probably the major reason, including the domestic abuse, as to why people are homeless. Most homeless families are able to bounce back from homelessness quickly with relatively little public assistance if they have support in the community. And I think that's where the day center and the churches play an important role, because the idea of the day center is not a hangout place, but it's a place where people can go and connect to the vital resources that they need. When you're homeless, you don't have an address, you don't have a telephone number, you don't have stamps, you don't have envelopes, you don't have any of those basic things that you need. You don't have a place to wash your clothes. So the idea of the day center is so that people can have all of those vital necessary services available to them to keep them moving until they get more sustainable housing. It also allows family to stay connected to the jobs, you know, being able to fill out resumes and applications. So our focus is to help them to move back into a normal lifestyle. The King County began the coordinated entry system in April 2012, and we've been having conversation with that staff, so that's been really good. And it levels supposedly the playing field. So, but basically what happens, a call to 211 gets you an appointment. So the question is, so you wait 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks for an appointment, and then after the appointment, it depends on how many people are on the list before you get housing. So, you know, that's the question. What happens to a person while they're waiting? And so our idea is to help them in that interim period, to give them a place where they can get a hot meal, a place to sleep at night, and most of all, a place to be safe and to feel like they're supported. So the Center of Hope, and really that's what it is giving people hope. You know, hope sustains us when we're at our most difficult moments of our lives, and it's hope that keeps us looking forward to something greater. And so the Center of Hope is really an intentional short-term support and access to resources, and our partnership with the local churches, the city of Renton, for which we're most grateful for, community and schools, the Renton Housing Authority, human services providers, GLOW, and Catholic Community Service, and other people that are just waiting, you know, asking questions about it, and you know, pretty excited about what we're trying to do here in the city of Renton. So, so the day center proposal is, that's a little bit too small for me.
I know it's there.
So, we made some adjustments, of course. So it's a Monday through Friday operation, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Capacity will be impacted by the availability of beds in the overnight space. In other words, if we don't have a place to put people up at night, we're not going to receive them in the day center. So that's why that 211 coordination and connection is really important. It's a welcoming and safe environment where women and children can build community and find resources. I think I said earlier, it's not a sleeping place, it's not a hangout place, but we have an active schedule of things, supports, information that will help people move to that next level, whether it be issues around health, whether it's around applications, interview techniques, those things that they need to continue to move forward. It is going to be staffed by daily lead volunteers and case manager available. We're working with the Catholic Community Center on the case manager. So far volunteers, we have over 20-some volunteers that have already stepped up. We're working with some organizations like GLOW, who has a just tremendous amount of volunteers, and they are ready to come on board with us. I've spoken at one of their meetings, and they're pretty excited about it. So the resources are available for us. We'll provide companionship training provided by the Center of Hope Board, and we believe companionship is real critical for people because they need someone to journey with them as they move from one phase of life to the next. And that's been very helpful in the work that I've been doing in downtown Seattle, is because people need someone to journey with them, and it's until they can get themselves back more stable. So we're going to be providing that service. Basic survivor needs is during the hours of operation is breakfast, lunch, showers, and laundry facilities. And showers and laundry is so critical. And resources for vocational, we talked about that, financial, emotional, including telephone, internet access, discussion group classes, on-site services, and partnership with the community and school to support the kids, to help them to maintain a sense of stability. Our overnight shelter, so the part 2 of it is the overnight shelter provided by the local churches and community spaces. Access through the Reach Center of Day of Hope, and that's going to run from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. daily, including weekend. And so it's a safe place where they can do homework and just maintain some sense of normalcy. Some of the churches that's been working with families, it's like some of the churches, they've given families their own little rooms, so it makes it look like it feels a little bit like home. They're just not thrown off in some big room, but a lot of the churches that we've been working with provides a room where the kids can do homework, or a place where they can just have some time out to reflect, and the volunteers will help alleviate some of the stress from the mothers to give them a break. Evening meals will be provided by the host churches that are supporting, as Maggie mentioned, much like a RISE program, so this is not new to us. We have this experience. Resident will be in the day center as they need to be during the day. In other words, they be out looking for jobs and making whatever connections that they need to make in order to move out of this transition period. And the guests will be transported to and from overnight accommodation. So
I think we're and we would welcome your questions or thoughts, any counsel that you might have as we think about this.
Mr. Chair, this is fantastic. Boy, this is well needed. Great job.
Thank you.
Well done. Question in terms of now, I didn't know specifically. Is this going to be a moving? You mentioned the churches is going to be similar to what the Arise group is doing.
It is. We're going to be working individually with churches as they are able to provide space, and we're asking them to think about providing space for a minimum of 1 month, but up to 3 months. And so that will mean that we'll have to do coordination, much like we do with Arise, to make sure that there's some kind of continuity and that women are moving from church to church. We'd like to move towards 3 months at a time, because that's kind of the period of time that we think people are in crisis, and the more permanence that we can give them, the better. But we will take whatever the churches can provide for us. So we're ready to be able to start coordinating that. There'll be a liaison at the day centre that will work with the churches.
Okay, so where's the location of the day center going to be located?
We have asked for the day centre to be located at the lower level of this building.
Me too. I kind of got that impression.
Yeah, in what used to be
the police department.
Yes, exactly. Okay. We looked at with the city at a couple of different locations. That one has laundry facilities. It has showers. It can be improved to make it look much more hospitable. It was the jail before. We are quite confident that we can work with that to make it very hospitable for our families. It has spaces for computers. It just seems like a good place. It's not a long-term solution by any means. What we would hope is that once we get this going and can show that this can be done and there's some momentum behind it, that we might move to a more integrated, purposeful building.
Good. That's real good. One recommendation I would make, I think it's a good use of the facility if it comes together that way. But what's this guy on TV who he does these mad decorations, remakes? It would be good to remake that facility to make it look a little bit, maybe knock the bars off, or put something around them, sheetrock them, I don't know. Make it look a little bit homier or something like that.
And actually we've had the great partnership with the city. The facilities department helped us to look at a plan to remove the hardware that makes it look like a jail, like the bars and the beds. And then we have great people who are all about making that place look welcoming.
Great, that's good. What about, I saw there's a pretty comprehensive list of services that you are providing, which is great. Is there any, I saw resume assistance. What about job preparation in terms of trying to help some of the individuals to get reemployed again?
Most definitely. Do you want to?
Yeah, we plan to bring in, and we have talked to agencies that provide like resume services, and then we plan to have that every week, every day, so that we can keep people moving into the employment field. And that's the idea of having the computers available for the internet, because a lot of applications now you have to do the internet, so that's going to be critical for us. Yes, absolutely.
We'll have a case manager there to start with 2 mornings a week, who will be focusing on that piece, among other things. And I think one of the beauties of doing it through REACH is that we already have a lot of those relationships, so this will become kind of a hub where those services can come to and be with the women as they get prepared to go back into the workforce. And
have you an estimate of what your capacity starting out would look like?
Before we get there, I just wanted to bring up that we've been working with the police department and facilities on the use of the space in the lower level in the jail. And we were looking at using one wing, and there's actually a diagram of how we could seal it off so that the police can still use it, their part for evidence. And then we're only asking for one wing of the downstairs to be used. So this has been an interdepartmental plan that we put together that works for facilities and works for the police department and community services. They're estimating that it will cost about $87,000 to retrofit the space by sealing off the hallways and then granting access through the 2 interview rooms and taking out the bars and the bunk beds. I didn't mean to interrupt them, but wanted to give you a little bit more detail. There has been quite a bit of work done to look at that space and what needs to be done, and then working with the police department to make sure that their needs were met, because they had a couple of concerns about emergency exiting and then also not using the front counter on the first floor, and that was addressed in their business plan, and so we have been working with them.
Karen or Jay, you might also be appropriate. I think Linda and Maggie have sold us on the concept without a doubt, and it sounds wonderful. the nuts and bolts and nails, and what is it that you want from council as to the space and that type of stuff. I mean, I think we need a little more in depth.
Right.
I'm not positive you're asking for.
I think for now we were looking for you know, a nod. You want us to continue. If the council feels like it can support this proposal, we'll move forward and get more specific.
Terry just pointed out my slight math error in the cost of retrofitting the building. It's 18,000, not 80,000. So these guys are committed to raising the funds, but anyway, so it's 18,000 they're looking at doing and getting donations and private contractors to help offset that.
So we developed the necessary paperwork with these organizations and move forward and bring those back to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm speaking for myself, and we can have nods or other comments or anything. I think it sounds wonderful. Move forward and let's see what you're going with. That sounds like a great use of the space and a great program. Ed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a phenomenal idea, in my opinion. In a former life, I actually did work in social services and with homeless families, so I understand the need there is for something like this. So I applaud your efforts. It sounds like you're looking at all of the wraparound services that these individuals and these families are going to need, and I think that's a great thing. And like Council Members Wicker, I'm only speaking for myself, but I think this is a phenomenal idea.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Terry, then Greg.
I have a question about this is your own group. I actually looked online, and there's lots of groups all over the nation that use the same name. But this is something that you're developing as and putting together as a nonprofit. Is there?
You mean the Center of Hope or the?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
The way, absolutely. It will function initially within the structure of REACH, so it will be a project of REACH, and so all of the funding will be done through REACH. And then eventually, if we would hope it's sustainable enough, that it will become its own body, and that's what's happened with Arise. We've done that before, where we will help get it started, and that's kind of how REACH works. It's an incubator, can help coalesce the energy around it, and then when the time is right, let it go by itself. But absolutely, it's not connected to any kind of national.
Okay. And so are you following, I mean, you're developing your own program, or are you following program from other groups, or?
Well, following programs from other groups, as I mentioned earlier, I work with Mary's Place Church of Mary Magdalene downtown, which is pretty an excellent organization, and so we're really mirroring that model. And that model is very successful in terms of turning people around, getting housing for them. Matter of fact, the past year, we got a lot of families from Renton, the past 2 winters, and Karen would call me because we had the relationship, and we found housing for people. So, I mean, that sort of increased my personal interest in saying, hey, and it's, you know, for a woman and children coming from Renton, going to a downtown Seattle is not friendly territory. So the model that we're using, yes, is a model that's been proven over many years that it works.
Linda and I both worked in this area, but we're listening carefully to our partners, mental health professionals, and wraparound services to make sure that we're doing what we need.
Greg?
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, and that's a need that is, you know, desperately in need of some capacity. It's interesting that, you know, the city of Renton has more shelter for men, single men, than it does for our women. So I applaud you all for, you know, filling this gap. But going back to my question, I'm still curious in terms of what does your capacity look like?
It's gonna be dependent upon the city's emergency plan. So how much they'll tell us how much we can handle there. The other contingent factor is how many beds we have. But we are kind of playing with a figure of around about 25 people. And we're going to start as small as we need to start to make sure that we do it right, but thinking that we're not going to go over that amount, just looking at the space. Our hope is that this is about moving people forward, so people will come through our process, but it's right around about 25 weekdays.
And it's emergency housing that would move people on to transitional to permanent.
Well, yeah, and what's really interesting about the timing is that we're moving into this understanding of rapid rehousing, where we're understanding that it's important. Most of our providers are understanding that we really need to be tackling housing first, where previously we've been tackling lots of other issues and then housing. So it's our hope that this will work kind of concurrently with that idea, that we can help be with these women until they get into housing through rapid rehousing, and then help transition them over to longer term services in terms of any other, social services that they might need.
Great.
That answer?
Yes, and then the other thing too, I'm really pleased that our city is partnering. We've got a resource, and that we're looking to make that resource, that infrastructure available for this type of a use. I think that's a good use of unused space that we've got available, and I like the idea of it.
Questions from other council members? Yeah, Randy.
Yes, I agree with all the positive comments. I'm very impressed. I was just wondering, I guess it's a question for our staff here, but so the mechanics of this, would this be effectively like a low-cost lease or something? Is that how we would do it? It would still be a private or private nonprofit leasing the space? Is that how it would work? Or?
We would treat it as a lease. I think the city's not anticipating charging for that, I think, at this point, but it would be a lease agreement in the sense that you'd have that kind of obligation, and we would have some consideration, whether it's $1 or something. We'll have to work that out. But the idea is that we would contribute the space at least.
And what I'm really kind of getting at is the running of the programming and the staffing. That's I think by leasing the space out, then it would still be their job to figure out how to run that.
Correct, and that's the $18,000 budget that was mentioned, and so the idea is that the community try to raise those funds to help provide for the operations.
Okay, good. Sounds great.
Mr. Chair?
Don or Marcy?
Go ahead, let Marcy go first.
I just wanted to clarify, because I heard you say it depended on how many beds you had available. The facility here would not have beds. When you
Absolutely
cite
not,
beds,
no.
I've read through your information.
Absolutely.
I mean,
So-
at the churches.
At the churches.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And then the other thing on that last slide, you have October 27th
Yeah.
fundraiser. You should tell us about that.
Well, we are, with the help of some friends from the city, actually thinking about that date. It turns out October is a huge month for fundraising, and we do not want we're about partnership. We don't want to compete with other. So we will be doing 2 fundraisers a year, one in the fall and one in the spring. We're playing with the idea of waiting and doing a fundraiser when we're actually ready to go, so people can see the space and can be encouraged to, know what they're donating to. So we're not, that date is somewhat up in the air, but there will be a fundraiser, and we're very grateful that we've already had some people who said that they will help us with that.
Great. Well, thanks for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Don?
Whole group.
Well, I like the concept, and it'd be a good use of the space. I do have some concerns about, because I know the police want to use that for evidence, and there's a big walk-in freezer. I happen to be very intimate, having been in charge of building that. So I'm a little concerned, and I'm sure those will all be worked out, but I have some concerns about that.
Those are good questions. Terry Higashiyama, Community Service Administrator. We will actually be moving the large refrigerator over to the side for the police so they can use it for evidence. We don't certainly need that size of side-by-side, and they do. So that will actually be moved over. The entrances will not cross over. There will not be any way that one group will cross over into the other group. And then we'll purchase this, we're looking for donation of a refrigerator. We only need a small day use, a family-size refrigerator for what down there. The washer dryers, we said, and the showers and that sort of thing are going to be the key for going through there. So, and then of course we had to look at the electrical changes because there are no plug-ins or anything from the jail. So we have to do some electrical upgrades down there too.
No phones in them. A lot of the room either.
No, but there is an office area, so we're looking for donations of computers and all of those things. So we'll start also looking for resources for towels and sheets and things that we can also supply to people as they move on to their transition to home. So we can we figured if we could have a little store down there, then people, when they do transition, we even have them some supplies to give to them as they move to their next step. So diapers, those kind of things for families, books. We're close, walkable to the library, we're walkable to the bus, we're walkable, and that's why this is a good site. We looked at a lot of different ones. this works because it does make a transition for them to get around to resources they need during the day, even though they may come there for a while. Most obviously not. Most of them will be there 8 to 5. But the key thing is that these kids need to stay in the same school. They need to have continuity within their school, and the women need to know that they've got resource in the community. We're going to stay with them until they find that housing. And remarkable people in this community, as we've talked about several weeks in a row, that continue to give. And I think we'll find the same thing in this process.
Greg, did you have?
Yes, and don't forget SAFE too.
Yes.
At our location. To answer that other comment about funding, as I look through your material, it looks as if, and I know the ARISE program is for the most part a volunteer model. So the church is usually, I've participated in it many times. But you've got a budget, I believe, about $6,500. It's going to be used for a case management person 2 days a week. So that $18,000 doesn't really go towards all of that. That's probably for the remodel.
Yeah, and we've already had a private donor make the donation for the first year's salary for the case manager, which is fantastic. And yeah, you're right, the rest of it will mostly be volunteer driven.
But one of the things that should be said is that you do need more volunteers.
Yes.
Anybody who wants to volunteer, how would they get in contact with you?
You can contact us through the REACH website. And we also, now that we have spoken with you, we didn't want to be talking about it to the community before we talked through with you, but now that we've spoken to you, we'll be letting people know, and we'll be putting out phone numbers and emails for people to get in touch with us if they'd like to volunteer. Yeah, thank you.
I think you get a lot of volunteers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and a lot of financial support, too, because we have people just waiting to provide financial support as well.
Right.
We are deeply grateful for your partnership. This is just a city that really works together, and we're just very, very grateful for your partnership. Thank you.
Linda and Maggie, thank you for your presentation and your efforts. It sounds great. Let's hear more about it and get this going. Karen and Terry, thank you for bringing it to us.
We'll be back when we've got all the details. Thank you for allowing us to move forward.
Thank you.
And with that, Committee of the Whole is adjourned.
Thanks.
Problem is a lot of people each doing a little polluting. I think the solution can be a lot of people each doing a little preventing.